All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today. So yeah, we wanted to share how to boost your business with digital marketing. There's a lot of different tactics out there that can help your business, but we wanted to start with display advertising. It's one of the most popular. A lot of people understand display advertising because they've seen billboards or they've seen print ads. Well, display advertising is just using that same imagery with digital ads. So we're going to talk a little bit about what is programmatic display and how that fits into the buyer's journey and where people are in the buying cycle. And then we're going to talk about some different targeting options that we have and conversion tracking that we use to show our clients their ROI. And how we do that is with pixels. So we'll dive into that a little bit more. And we'll show you our reporting dashboard, which is really great and shows some live reporting metrics. And then we'll talk about some key differentiators and what makes us different as a digital advertising company. And then finally, we'll go through some case studies and share some successes that our local advertisers have had. And throughout the process, if you guys have any questions, just let us know. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat and we'll try and answer those as we go. But if nothing else, we will get to them at the end.
Perfect. Thanks, Brandon. So what is programmatic display? When publishers are unable to sell all of their available ad inventory on their website, if they can't sell it directly or privately, they'll put it up for auction where it's sold through an ad exchange or a demand side platform such as the Trade Desk. What this allows is that we can now, as advertisers, serve ads across the web targeting specific audiences no matter where they are browsing. This software allows us to buy this mobile search or video ads from this marketplace where this unsold inventory is offered up to. And it gives us the opportunity to bid on them so we can get those advertisements in front of the right users at the right time where they're consuming content. So what does a display ad look like? I'm sure many of you have probably seen 10 to 15, maybe 20 different display ads that were specifically targeted to you this morning prior to joining this webinar. Here are some examples, right? On the top left here, you got the Johnston and Murphy ad that is targeted on the local news website. We also have R.C. Wiley, appliance store being targeted on USA Today, CarMax on the ESPN site, and this Wells Fargo ad. These are all great examples of display ads, banner ads that are on websites as people are browsing. So where does this fit when we're looking at our media mix, our decision-making process when it comes to advertising? Programmatic display generally lives in the branding and awareness and more top funnel portion of the advertising and decision-making process. The reason why is we are reaching out to prospective audiences, target audiences. When they are browsing, they're not necessarily looking for our products or services. So during this point in time for a display ad, what we recommend is really focusing on driving awareness and getting more people interested, doing teasers like learn more as a call to action. We can also suggest using multiple creatives to test and see which creative resonates with this audience, drives more attention, gets more engagements, things like that. We can also display is a little bit more sophisticated or more complicated than just the awareness phase. We can actually put that in as the lower funnel when someone's come to your website or has visited a website and maybe hasn't purchased. We can utilize what we call retargeting through the display platform, meaning that we can, after someone has visited your website, follow them wherever they go and serve them ads to remind them to come back. So during this type of strategy and this type of campaign for a display tactic, we would use more converting call to actions like buy now or schedule your test drive here or reserve your table now. More direct action oriented call to actions we see as successful in this realm. So Brandon's going to run through the targeting options we have that are available in this tactic.
Yeah, thank you, Justin. All right, so there's 8 different categories that we can use when we're looking at different targeting options for display advertising. So we have behavioral targeting, content targeting, demographic, geographic, site retargeting, and search retargeting. And then we have frequency targeting and day parting. So we'll get into those a little bit more one by one. So what is behavioral targeting? So behavioral targeting is targeting consumers based on their behavior and tracked interests online. This is precise and highly effective. And so what does that mean? Well, you guys are all probably familiar with the term cookie-based targeting or cookies. So we're looking at people's browsing history to see the type of things that they're interested in so that we can serve them relevant ads moving forward. Diving into that a little bit further here, one of the examples that we can talk about is real estate. So if you're a real estate company and you want to reach people that are interested in buying homes, there's a lot of different potential home buyers out there. There's people that are going to be buying the home to live in it for, their first time home purchase. There's people who are looking for a second home or an investment home. There's luxury real estate. So there's a lot of different categories or behavioral targeting within even the real estate category. So we can get really granular on who our clients are trying to reach. Another example is down here in the automotive category. So if you are a car dealership, and let's say you're a Kia dealership, and you're trying to reach people who love Kia loyalists is how we have them identified here. We can make sure that we are only targeting people who are Kia loyalists. So we want to put your ads in front of the people who already love your brand, who are most likely to purchase again. So we can layer that in with some other targeting where we can see people that have intent to purchase a car, and we can couple that with people who are Kia loyalists. On the flip side, let's say you're a Hyundai dealership or another competitor dealership. We might want to target people that are Kia defectors. Maybe they haven't had such a great experience with their Kia, and maybe they're looking to switch brands. So different ways that you can kind of approach the same ability for targeting on either side of the coin, whether you're trying to reach loyalists or defectors. There's just so many different behavioral targetings that we can take advantage of to make sure that we're reaching the exact person who's the best fit for your business or product or service. All right, demographic targeting. You guys are probably all familiar with this term, demographic. So we're looking at age, gender, ethnicity, household income, employment status. So a lot of our advertisers, especially in the radio world, will use, core demographic. We reach people 25-54. Maybe we want to layer in a household income of 100,000 plus or 200,000 plus, because maybe our product or service is kind of expensive. So there's a way that we can qualify people there by saying, hey, we really only want to reach people with those high household income levels because they're more likely to be able to afford our product or service. So the great thing with digital is we can make sure that we're only reaching those people. If we set that parameter with household income, we will not reach people with household incomes less than that tier. So it's just highly qualified individuals. We can also layer in, like it says, ethnicity, employment status. Employment status is a big one for us when we work with a lot of recruiting companies. We can target people specifically who are job seekers or unemployed, or maybe they're trying to hire people who already have jobs, but certain types of work, maybe blue collar work or contractors, builders. So we can layer in those different data sets to make sure that we're reaching the most highly qualified people for your business. Even adding in education there as well. If we want to make sure to hit people that are college grads or associate's degrees, we can add that in as well.
Sorry about that, little trigger happy.
I fooled you. All right, so content targeting. So when we were talking about demographic targeting, we were talking about characteristics of people based on their browsing history. Content targeting is more real time, if you will. So we're targeting people based on the content that they're viewing right now. So let's say, for example, Saucony, they're advertising shoes. They want to sell training shoes or running shoes. So we can make sure to put their ads in front of people who are most likely to purchase running shoes. So people that are reading articles about running, maybe about swimming or cycling if they're triathletes. There's different contextual targets that we can include which is basically just based on the content people are reading. And there's a lot of different categories here. We can incorporate whichever ones work best. So oftentimes we'll layer in content targeting with behavioral targeting and see which one's performing the best, and then optimize your campaign to serve more display ads towards those categories that are performing the best.
We can also take the targeting a little bit beyond, just targeting the audience where they're browsing, based off of what their browsing history is, based off the content they're reading. We can also layer in what you can also layer in search retargeting. What that means is there's an ability obviously to be tracked. Your search history is being tracked by Google and has that ability to be accessed by data companies. And we can tell when someone has searched for your product or service, and then after they've searched and done their research on Google, they're going back to browsing, we can then serve them with an ad. So this is a very highly intent audience. So think about people who are searching for HVAC services when it's really hot out, like the last month and a half it's been, when we're looking to cool down. Those are some really important things for an HVAC company to be in front of people who are searching for their services now, because it's a quick decision. So utilizing search retargeting allows us to get in front of that audience who is very highly intentful. And it also gives you that, the power of intent, and then that repeated brand exposure. Another way to repeat brand exposure, we already talked a little bit about that up in the buyer's journey slide, is site retargeting. Another element of display advertising is retargeting ads and serving ads to people who've been to your site in the past and may not have made an action. So how do we do this? Well, a user will engage with your website, go there, look at some pages, do some research, and then they'll leave, right? Well, if there is a pixel placed on the site, we can actually track who's visited the site and then follow them after they leave and send them ads to bring them back, to remind them to book a service appointment, to remind them to book a test drive, remind them to book their reservation. This is obviously a very highly intentful audience, obviously looking at targeting repeat customers or people who are familiar with your brand, and driving more brand affinity. And obviously the note is a pixel must be placed on their site in order for us to track them. Well, what does that mean? What is a pixel? So pixels are used for site retargeting and conversion tracking when running campaigns, right? So our team can actually put a piece of code on your website that doesn't affect site speed or load speed or anything like that, but allows campaign teams to be able to see the audience that's coming to your site, create that retargeting pool, and then follow them afterwards through cookie data. But then we can also place conversion points on your website, meaning what is a valuable action on your website. So if you have a book now form fill, if you have a contact us page, a locations page, those are all user actions that are telling us that user is likely to come in, contact us, or fill out a form. So we would want to track how many people we send to the site to see if they would take that further action. So it's not just impressions and driving clicks to your website and website traffic, but we're also trying to drive meaningful actions on your website. In order for us to be able to track that, we do that through these universal pixels. So, we already touched base a little bit on what the conversions are, but we can even take it a step further to not only track people who have clicked on the ads and went to your website and made that desired action, but we can also track people who have seen the ad and then later come through and make a desired action. And that's what we call post-impression conversion. So we can see how well our display ad affects someone coming in and converting, and either giving you a call, buying something from your business, anything like that we can track through the website. It allows us to get a little bit further in depth in that reporting and understanding of the audience we're targeting. So when we're looking at conversion tracking, we can actually track up to 5 conversions per campaign. So an example of some conversions that we would recommend for a display campaign A good example here would be Olive Garden, right? So there's multiple actions that we can track on the website. Order now is important, showing that that person is probably interested in buying some food or ordering for delivery. So that's an important conversion URL to track. Join waitlist, very similar to a reservation booking, shows us that that audience's intent and they're coming in to purchase food from us. Menu shows interest that they're maybe deciding what they want to eat tonight, and they just want to see what kind of available options there are, or see what the nightly special is. Locations, obviously, with Olive Garden having multiple locations within the area, I got to figure out which one's closest to me. So that's showing action that I'm interested in going into one of those locations. And then lastly, we can track a URL, even something that we're not even pushing through our promotions through the display ads, such as careers. So we can see if we're actually, getting some applicants to our business. And you'll actually we'll walk through how you can track these conversions through a reporting dashboard and things like that, and tracking success here in a second. But now that we've talked a little bit about some of the more cookie-based targeting, the more website-based targeting options we have for display campaigns, there are actually some other campaign options for display, Brandon, aren't there?
There are indeed quite a few. So I want to talk a little bit about geofencing. Geofencing is a term that a lot of people have probably heard about, but what is it and why should a business owner utilize geofencing? So basically, geofencing allows you to target consumers on their devices, on their mobile phones, based on their location. So we can either look at where they've been in the past or where they are now. The great thing about this is that it's very precise. If it's important for your business to reach people in your immediate area or that have gone to certain key places of interest, it's a very precise way to do that, and which leads to increased engagement, better efficiency of our campaign, and as a result, boosted ROI and conversions. And the great thing here is there's no reliance on cookie data. So what we were talking about earlier, as far as targeting with behavioral, what interests that people have shown with their web browsing, geofencing is all about where they are on their mobile phone. So there's no reliance on that cookie data. And some of these stats here that you'll see on the right side of the page, 80% of people check their phones within 15 minutes of waking up. I'm definitely guilty of that.
I'm gonna say mine might be like 30 seconds from what
yeah, that's about right for me too. I try not to, but hey, the day's starting, gotta hop on the phone. Yeah, Justin jokingly, was telling me the other day about how he had left his home and he was about 20 minutes away before he realized that he didn't have his phone. So he had to turn around and go get it. We're so reliant on our phones. We're on our phones all the time. And geofencing is a great way to reach people because, we're reaching people on their phones wherever they are, which seems like always attached at the hip. So there's different types of geofencing. Device ID is one that we use quite a bit. So what is device ID? That looks at where your location, where your device has been in the past. So we can draw custom polygons or shapes, around key points of interest. So in this example here in the screenshot, we have a shopping mall and we've drawn a polygon around all the units of the shopping mall, but we excluded the parking lot and some other businesses, around in the streets. So we can isolate the areas where you want to reach people, that have visited those locations. There's a lot of examples where we've used this in the past. Here recently, we were working with a company, a big rodeo that was coming into town, and they wanted to reach people that went to the rodeo last year or had been to rodeos put on by other companies. So we were able to identify the exact locations of those rodeos and target people who had been to those rodeos in the past. So with device ID, we can target people up to 1 year ago or as recent as 3 days ago. So it's kind of a rolling calendar, if you will. All right. And what's great about device ID is the audience insight report. So when we first are starting to put together a campaign, we can identify those addresses, those key points of interest, And we can generate a report which shows the type of people that have visited that location in the past. So whatever time frame we're looking at. If it's up to a year ago, we can see how many devices visited those locations within the past year. Unique devices versus total visits. So maybe we had, in this example, 11,000 actual people visited, but for a total number of visits of 25,000 plus. So, the average person was going more than once in that time frame. We can even look to see what day of the week they visited most or what hours they visited most. A lot of this information can be really helpful for our advertisers because it gives them insights into, how often people are visiting their place of business or those key points of interest. They might already know this from, seeing people walk in and out of the door, or they might have their own statistics, but this just kind of confirms that, or sometimes it brings up, well, hey, actually, maybe the demographic information that we have of these people that visited wasn't what I thought our average customer is. Maybe we should tweak our targeting and reach these people that are obviously walking in the door. And this is the information we've collected from their devices. So this information can be really helpful. We can even see the geographic location that those people came from. So, what zip codes do they live in? Maybe we should focus our marketing efforts on reaching those zip codes where the most people are coming from. That could either be with our display ads or any other marketing you might be doing, like mailers. So this report's really helpful. And the way that we do that, thank you, Justin. We'll go to the next slide. The way that we track people is through location services. And I'm sure everyone's kind of familiar with location services. Every app, it seems like, tracks your location. A lot of people turn these location services off on certain apps. I know I do on certain apps, but there's still a lot of apps that you have to track your location if you want accurate information. The weather app is a great example. They use your location to give you accurate local weather. So it's always tracking your location in the background. Maps, different GPSs, whether it's Waze or Apple Maps or Google Maps, whatever you use, they also are running your location in the background. So that data is then shared with data companies, which allows us to target people based on the location of their smartphone. So that's kind of how the sauce is made, if you will. Justin,
and how everything stays above board, right? So we're not tracking anybody in black hat style. This is how you opt in to be tracked. So great point, Brandon. So there are some popular targeting strategies here. So I'll let Brandon kind of introduce the first few, and we'll dive into some other options as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so there's visitor targeting. So we can reach people who have visited target locations in the past, regardless of where they are now. So as I mentioned with device ID, we're reaching people that have visited key points of interest. There's conquest visitor targeting. So reach consumers who have visited target competitor locations in the past, regardless of where they are now. So if I am a car dealership and gosh, I want to reach people that have been shopping at the car dealership across the street or across town, that's another competing Chevy dealership, we can target those locations and reach people that have visited those locations. And that's called conquest targeting. And then I'll kick it over to Justin to talk about.
Brandon, so you're saying I can geofence my business, and I can send reminder ads to people who visited in the past and try to get them to come back. Isn't that like retargeting? But like
that's exactly what it is.
That's crazy. That's awesome. That's sweet. So that's cool to know. But another awesome thing that we can do here as well. Not only can we grab those visitors, right? Those devices that have physically been to those locations, but then we can also expand our audience to reach other devices in that device we've captured household. So this is kind of where that creepy my phone is listening to me moments come from, right? You may be talking to your significant other about a new coffee shop that you just went to, and then a few minutes later they're starting to see ads for that coffee shop on their phone. Well, that is probably because, and most likely because when you went into that coffee shop, were captured with your device, and they utilized home or household extension to expand their audience, to reach out to other like audiences, lookalike audiences that you hang out with more often. So that's where that creepy phone feel is, my phone's listening to you. It's not, well, maybe it is, but not in this case. In this case, it's more so just because you are near another device that may have been captured through device ID. And then another targeting strategy is utilizing back geography, for anybody who's wondering what that is. That is essentially where we can actually set a geo constraint of where we want to serve ads to from someone who's been to our business. So for example, that coffee shop example, here in Austin, where there's many people who visit from out of town, a coffee shop doesn't want to serve ads to somebody who visited Austin, went to the coffee shop once, and then went back to Denver. They don't want to be serving ads to that person, because that's unlikely they're going to drive someone back in a very short period of time. So we can actually set a constraint. So if that device leaves Austin, we can not serve ads to them. So that is a strategy we can utilize to make sure we're not wasting any spend based off of the amount of devices and where the devices live in that time. So it provides a little bit more accuracy in where we serve the ads as well. Some other strategies we can use for device ID targeting. We can actually layer in demographics on top of this. This is not quite the same as the cookie-based demographics that we were talking about earlier. This is phone demographics based off of those audience insight reports, where we can target people based off of their age, their gender, some interest level, also their household income. So we can layer that in as well within a defined radius of our store location. So we can only reach those 100,000 household income plus audience within 10 miles of our store, because that's our target audience. We can layer that in to make sure we're super efficient. And let's another way we can target is category targeting. Let's say, my competitor is 7-Eleven, and there are quite a few 7-Elevens in town. I don't know every single address. Well, there's actually category targeting. So we can target businesses or consumers based on a business name or a business category. So we can target all convenience stores within 30 miles of our location. We can target all 7-Elevens within our location if that's who we specifically want to utilize as our competitor. So that's another layer of targeting we can use for device ID. And then if you have a customer list of addresses that you are trying to target, we can geofence. You can actually geofence all of those locations and focus your advertising efforts in that area and in those addresses only. So be very precise that way. And all of these targeting options, besides address match, we can actually utilize on Facebook as well. So we can target these devices and serve Facebook ads within that defined area. So another oh, Brandon, were you about to go?
Nope. Sorry, go ahead.
All right. I was like, just didn't want to know if you had any go. So there's, as Brandon mentioned, there are two types of geofencing options out there, right? So device ID was the look back. What is the other one? The other one is called micro proximity. What that means is that we are geofencing an area in real time, targeting devices within that defined area. So thinking about, I'm drawing a geofence around a auto repair shop where people are waiting in the waiting room and on their phone. That's a great micro proximity opportunity to live target those devices, and you can serve them with an ad to say, hey, come to my auto shop because you're probably, getting price gouged on your deal. Let's get a second opinion on that repair that you need done. Come and check out our different services, why we're better. Those are great opportunities for businesses to take advantage of micro proximity targeting. So when would I use this? It's really great for that first example. When you're sitting in that auto repair shop, think about anywhere somebody may be sitting for a long period of time looking at their phones, right? So waiting rooms for auto repair shops is a really good one. Waiting rooms, when you're sitting and waiting at the salon or waiting for a reservation or anything like that, or you're waiting for an appointment, not healthcare related, we can actually geofence, or someone staying in a hotel, we can geofence those areas where someone spending an extended period of time on their device to serve it. Shorter one-day events are not necessarily the best time to utilize micro proximity. Think about when you're at a music festival, right? You're probably not browsing on your phone during that time when you're at the music festival. However, when you go home, you are. So that may be a better opportunity to use our look back device ID targeting rather than doing micro proximity real-time targeting where I'm not going to be available on my phone. So there are two different ways we can target through micro proximity. So we can either do a radius around a location. So whether 10 miles from our store, so we want to hit everybody everybody who's on their device within 10 miles of our store. We can target them in real time, or we can utilize category targeting, sorry, words, similar to our device ID targeting, where we can target universities in real time. So people who are sitting and waiting around in class, or if they're on class or they're in class and on their phone, we can target them as well. So we can actually create that two different types of targeting options. So now that we've talked about some tactics and ways we can target this audience, well, how do we define success, right? How do we know it's working? Brandon, can you kick us off? How do we track and know a campaign is working or this tactic is working?
Yeah, thanks, Justin. I think this is one of the most important parts of the campaign. Obviously, we want to get the targeting right, but results are what matter, and that's how we keep, our campaigns running, keep your business thriving. So we like to look at results. So what I like about our reporting dashboard is it's a live reporting dashboard where you can track the success of your campaign at any time, and you don't need a login. This is a link that's shareable, so you could send it to any colleagues you have, and it allows you to go in and see, how many ads that we've served, how many impressions we've delivered, how many clicks we've generated, but most importantly, our conversions. So what is a conversion? A conversion could be, hey, someone has made a purchase on our website, and after making that purchase, we track that conversion. It could be someone filling out a form on a contact us page. It could be someone clicking on a certain tab to learn more information about a certain product or service you have. We can identify up to 5 conversions on your website and track those through our reporting dashboard. So the great thing is, not only are we showing how many ads we've delivered, but the conversions is probably the most important part. You'll see here at the top of the screen, oh, sorry, Justin, you mind going back just a second? You'll see at the top of the screen, there's a little bar graph, and it shows how many impressions we've delivered, how many clicks we've generated. You can even customize this information to look at different windows, different date ranges. So we could look at the last week or the last 3 weeks. Maybe we've changed the creative at some point and we want to see how's our campaign, how is the performance of the campaign now compared to the same time frame before with the old creative. So we can kind of look at those and A/B test and see which is delivering the best results. And then within the reporting dashboard, it'll also show how many people are clicking from different areas. So you'll see the map down here, and there will be a heat map that shows how many people have clicked from different zip codes, from different parts of town. And you can even rank that field there by number of impressions served and look to see which zip codes we've reached the most. You can rank it by number of clicks to see what areas are delivering the best click-through rates. And that'll just offer more insights on, the best audiences, the best parts of town. And so we can refine and maximize results for you. This is just a continued look at our reporting dashboard, but we can even show an hour by hour. We like to really only serve ads from 5 a.m. until midnight because there's not a lot of great, web browsing or web surfing going on late at night. So we try and just focus 5 a.m. to midnight. And you'll see here different hours of the day, different days of the week are lighter or darker. We can look at that based on impressions or clicks to see when people are, clicking and most interested in your products or services. Below that, you'll see audience. So if we are targeting, let's say, adults 25-54 with household incomes of 100,000 plus, we can see how many of those people have clicked on the ads versus maybe maybe we're also targeting moms or dads or something that's, kind of irrelevant or different from the normal demographic targeting that we had layered in with age and income. So we can monitor that and see which ones are performing the best, and then make those optimizations to serve more ads to the people that are engaging with your content the most. It'll also show top performing channels. So which apps or websites your ads are appearing on the most and delivering the most clicks. So there's complete transparency there. And it'll even show you the type of device. So are we serving ads mostly on mobile or tablet or desktop? And which ones have the best click-through rates? So these are all elements that our team looks at all the time to make optimizations to improve your campaign. But it's great on the client side because you can access this reporting at any time, just with the click of a mouse, and bookmark it, change the date ranges, and then if you'd like, what we usually recommend is setting up a monthly reporting call to go over this information with you, share our insights and recommendations moving forward. But at least in the meantime, you can hop on this link whenever you want and see how the campaign's performing without needing us. All right, and the foot traffic attribution report. This is one of my favorite reports. This is linked with device ID. So earlier when we were talking about targeting people based on where they've been, I'll revert back to that example I had with the rodeo. So we targeted people that had gone to different rodeos within the past year here in the Central Texas area, or even other sporting events. So what we can do here with the foot traffic attribution report is we can see how many people, after seeing your ad, went to your place of business. For example, with the rodeo here, went to the rodeo that we were advertising. So you can see how many people went to the rodeo after seeing an ad who went to certain baseball games or different rodeos around town. And the best thing about this is it shows which day of the week they visited your location and if they came once or multiple times. So you'll see on the bar graph there, the blue is a first visit. So with the rodeo, it was a 3-day event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, everyone visiting, it was their first event or their first trip, first visit. On Saturday and Sunday, we saw a decent amount of blue, but also some yellow from some people that had come for a second day, and then on Sunday for a third day. So you can see again how many unique responders, how many actual people came, and then the total visits. So this is really great in demonstrating the ROI, because if we know someone saw your ad and then visited your business, it's very likely, well, depending on your type of business, but if it's a restaurant, for example, we know they came and ate at your restaurant. So the client can then look at how many unique responders we had, and they can say, hey, I know the average worth of a customer is X. And if we had X amount of total visits times X amount per person, that helps them establish what their ROI was. Obviously, you guys will be able to see the lift on your sales, but this type of reporting just helps demonstrate the ROI and how many people we've driven to your business.
Wow, that's pretty cool that you can track people that see your ad online and then step foot into your business. That is actually pretty awesome. So that's something definitely to take into account and focus on, when you're deciding, what media mix works best for me and what things I need to do to track success. This is an important option that you have out there. Another additional option that can be provided from device ID targeting and device ID campaigns is you can actually be provided a report of how many people, based off of if you collect addresses of your new sales over the last month. So I always love to use the auto dealer as an example, who collects addresses of every new car sold. We can actually match up to the addresses we served these display ads to from a device ID standpoint. So then we can provide even further attribution to show how much this display campaign affected someone coming in and purchasing a car from me, which is pretty cool. So it actually can show you real converted customers. There is additional fee for this. Obviously, the way we get around personal information and privacy laws, we don't need to see the name of the customer, the email address, or the phone number even. We just need to know the physical address, and we can match up to if we targeted that address with display ads and they came in and purchased whatever product or service. So very good match back attribution option. So now we've talked a little bit about, what it is, what programmatic display is, how to track success, how do you differentiate different providers, right? So there's obviously a few different things you want to take into account when you're looking at, at running a campaign like this, is how the campaigns are set up and how the campaigns are run. For example, some companies like ours, we pay our operations team, meaning the campaign managers, like salespeople, to make sure that we're achieving goals of the campaign and trying to drive traffic to your website and drive ultimately more business. So we actually guarantee a 0.1% click-through rate on all of our display campaigns. National average click-through rate is 0.06 to 0.08. So we always want to strive to be above that. So those are some metrics you should definitely know, that 0.06 to 0.08% click-through rate. That is national average. You also want to take a look at what websites the provider serves your ads on. For example, do they work with the Quantcast Top 5,000 websites? What does that mean? Quantcast Top 5,000. That's really hard to say, by the way. Really fast. What does that mean? Those are the most popular, most visited websites on the web, right? So it's very brand safe, very popular. And you also want to take into account not only just targeting the top 5,000, but I'm sure, as many of you can imagine, some of those websites you probably don't want your ad on, right? So do they have a block list of undesirable websites? Do they have brand safety measures in place? Where do they prioritize serving the ads? Do they prioritize to above the fold positions? And for those of you who may not know or can remember what above the fold means, that's an old newspaper term, is when someone threw a newspaper on your stoop, right? It's the top page that is visible when you pick up the newspaper. That's called above the fold, right? So that means when the website loads, and what is visible on the site on the screen, that is above the fold. So do they prioritize to your ad to be seen as the website loads? And if it's below the fold, you have to scroll down to see it. So I obviously want to make sure that my business is in front of people and actually seeing the ad. So I would like to be prioritized to above the fold, which we do. Obviously, do they make frequent campaign optimizations? Do they use a dashboard? Do they take into account all the targeting elements? Do they make those frequent optimizations by removing underperforming targeting options and adding more top performing targeting options? Those are some really key things to consider when you're working with someone with display. Frequency capping is also important as well. You don't want to have your ad shown 5,000 times to one person, but you also don't want to have your ad have a display ad only shown once to a person. You want to have a good mix, right? There's multiple times before you start remembering things. We want to take that into account when it comes into advertising as well, frequency, right? So we want to make sure we're in front of that audience more than once, and I think it's actually, if you look at averages, I think 21 touch points before someone makes a decision. Those are some key points you want to take into account. And then their brand safety measures, making sure you're not running next to objectionable content, such as offensive language and explicit content. And then, another big thing is we don't want to, you don't want your impressions being served to bot traffic, right? We want to actually have real people that are being served our ads and can make an action and engage in that ad. So having full integration with their ad network. So making sure that you're serving those ads to relevant audiences and actual people. Another thing you want to take into account and why working with us is beneficial when it comes to device ID targeting and micro proximity targeting. You want to make sure we're doing one-to-one device match. So making sure we're verifying and matching to specific cell phones. Same thing, we're not going after bot traffic or fake devices. We want to know that we're actually targeting the relevant devices. Many location-based targeting strategies, they utilize assumptive data, meaning they will draw a larger radius around your store to track foot traffic. So they may capture the intersection across the street. They may capture the other businesses within the strip mall to try and up their numbers, up their reports. It's important to know that you use actual data, not assumptive data, to track the effectiveness of the campaign. So we use latitude and longitude, and are very specific in drawing our geofences when we're tracking foot traffic. And obviously having the ability to go the extra mile to match devices back to home addresses, so we can provide matchback reports to provide that further attribution when it comes to these types of campaigns. With the last few minutes, we have a few case studies we want to share with you that we've seen success with. Brandon mentioned, obviously, we've seen a lot of success with recruitment. Who couldn't use more employees these days? Hiring is always an issue, always can be troublesome when it comes to running a business. So we actually worked with a healthcare company who was looking to hire radiology techs. They had quite a few openings and needed to fill them within the next 3 months. So with their investment, we suggested running programmatic display, use it to extend their reach, increase branding and awareness, but also utilize, not only target job seekers in the health and medical fields, but utilize search retargeting. So people who are searching for those types of jobs and roles and information, we want to target them as well. So once we ran this campaign over 3 months, we actually were able to drive over 160 applications for the job opening in that first week. And actually collected 26 qualified resumes in one day. And saw an average of about 17 to 30 applicants being submitted every week after. So a lot of really good qualified candidates and a very successful way of tracking. They implemented, conversion tracking and retargeting also in this campaign. So that's why it's really beneficial to hit those researchers and drive them back to ultimately apply. Another good case study here is an HVAC company we've worked with who was looking to, increase their service calls, but also increase their market share. So we recommended running programmatic display, really wanted to hone in on the behavioral targeting, right? Targeting those people in need of home repair and maintenance. So that's where search retargeting really came into play here as well, targeting people who've searched for, AC service near me, home, heating and air companies that I want to work with, or heating and air companies near me, those types of searches, and then sending and reinforcing the brand after they've done those searches. Throughout the year, we were able to drive over 7,000 clicks, 5,500 conversions, and we were even able to track people who have seen an ad prior, how well they engaged in the second time they saw an ad, and that was 3.3% click-through rate. And if you guys remember just a few slides back, I told you the average click-through rate for display campaigns is 0.06 to 0.08. So that's, I can't even do the math. That's probably like 400 or 500x of what the expected to return was, maybe even more than that. So really, really key to make sure that you can track all of these different areas. And then lastly, we worked with a local gym and a workout facility who really wanted to increase their 6 and 12-month memberships. This is where we recommended utilizing competitive targeting through device ID campaigns, and also to geofence their location to encourage their current members or their current lower tiered membership members to up their membership level. So we were able to target all these different competitors and their own location by utilizing these targeting options. They gained 73 new memberships over the course of a 6-month campaign. They spent $5,400 over 6 months and gained $38,000 in contracted revenue. That's a 6-to-1 return on investment. And I don't know about you, Brandon, but I'd be happy to spend $1 to make 6 anytime.
Yep, I'll take that all day.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Justin. We now want to kind of open up the floor to any questions you guys might have. There is a Q&A section at the bottom. If you guys have any questions, feel free to submit those. We'll give you a couple minutes in case we have any trickle in. In the meantime, just want to thank you guys for joining us today. Sorry for the delay at the beginning too. Zoom was conspiring against us, but here we are.
Alrighty.
Well, I'm not seeing any questions yet, but I'll just, oh, here we go. Thank you, Norma. Well, if anyone missed any of the webinar, we will be sending out a recording. So if you need to go back, if you missed any of it, look for that. And we'll also be sending an invitation at some point soon for next month's webinar, where we're going to be talking about a new tactic. So part 2 of our digital marketing webinar series. In the meantime, if there's anybody who wants to reach out, please reach out. If you already have a representative here at Waterloo, reach out to them. If you're new to working with our company, feel free to reach out to me directly. But we'd love to talk about your business and learn about your business objectives and give some suggestions on tactics that we can use, whether it's display or a combination of others as well, to help drive new business for you guys.
Yep.
Just
We did have a question, about whether or not we offer other tactics as well. We do offer OTT and video tactics. Those are definitely some of our upcoming seminar topics that we're going to cover. If you are interested in hearing a little bit more about our capabilities, please reach out to Brandon. We've got his email and phone number here, and we can get you set up, or reach out to your account executive here at Waterloo. We'd be happy to walk you through our capabilities. But great question. Thank you.
Well, thank you all very much. We appreciate you guys taking the time to join us today. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you guys at our next webinar. And everybody have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time. Have a great day.